And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China! All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean,
over the Caribbean,
South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
He said, if you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God and do that which is right in his eyes, adhere to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians. For I am the Lord your healer.
Mr. Paul. Oh, Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, go to rest.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Want to say Shalom Lach, Mash, Pakha. I hope and pray that you guys had a blessed Shabbat, had a very blessed Shabbat on my end. And I'm actually been doing a lot of work overtime in terms of working on my documentary for Road to Savannah Part 2. So it's coming along very well. I'm in my office right now, and I'm on the other side of my desk. I have things set up. I was going to give you a little sneak peek at how my office is set up right now, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I want to just save the surprises for the actual video. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about Juneteenth. And I want to make it clear to you guys, family, I could care less about this federal holiday. I can care less about this federal holiday. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. Before we get started, I'm going to give some shout outs to everyone here. I'm going to go to the chat here. I want to say peace and blessings to Yah's son. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for, sowing into the works on this platform. Really appreciate the support over the past year. So a year or two, actually. So I really appreciate you, Yah's son, for the seed. Really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get into some of the comments here. Let's give some shout outs here. And again, thank you again, Yah's son, for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get into the actual give some shout outs to those that to the people in the comment section, to the super chat. But also I want to get into the lesson. So before we get started, I want to say peace and blessings to Rashida. I want to say early bird. That's right. Appreciate you guys for being here early. For Sashi Dot, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Mr. Original, peace and blessings to you. DJ Brightside, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Let's see here. Mr. The Original, Barbara Jones, Charles West. Let's see, who else do we have here? Latanya Rogers, my Sister Carol, want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. And again, Yah's son, I really appreciate the contributions, really do. Trayvon Chapman, peace and blessings to you. Timothy Prince, peace and blessings to you. Amiya Yaki Da, want to say peace and blessings to you. Excuse me, clearing my throat out here. Also want to say peace and blessings to BDT, Israelite wife Desiree. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Stacy Pullum, want to say peace and blessings to you. And I think we got everyone that's in the chat. I know others are joining in. If I did not get your name, please do not charge it to my heart. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. Light to the Nation, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shakeem Butler, peace and blessings to you. Lemuria Johnson, want to say shalom to you. Mike McCassler, want to say peace and blessings to you. Andrea Black Williams, want to say shalom to you as well. Mishpaka, which means family, or Mashpaka, want to say peace and blessings to you. Lifted by Yah, want to say shalom to you as well. All right. And again, really appreciate you guys for the love, the support of this platform. As you already know, YouTube is doing all kinds of things. Like I uploaded a short video of a spelling bee, and they flagged it, restricted the video so that way it won't get a lot of views, by stating that it's content in the video that contains nudity and all this other stuff. And you guys witnessed the video for you with your own eyes. There's no nudity, there's no profanity, there's no violence that's being promoted in that video. So this is an example of some of the things that they have been doing to this platform, removing videos, flagging videos, shadow banning. That's why I'm surprised that it even the channel made it this far and grew to these numbers here. Last year, I was on lockdown for 9 out of the 12 months, literally. And I was for 4 months, like the last 4 months of the year, I was literally one strike away from this channel being shut down, completely removed. And with that being said, family, we're going to keep pushing this truth. We are not going to stop. And I encourage you guys to keep being bold, continue to be bold as you proclaim this truth, right? So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started here. But I just want to share my thoughts, family. I as I stated before, I really don't care about Juneteenth. I really don't care. I don't care. I really don't care about Juneteenth. And neither should any of our people should care about Juneteenth. We should not care about Juneteenth. Something that, from what I see, just started really having taken root to celebrate over the past couple of years. I grew up not even, not recognizing Juneteenth. So why now this push to make it into, I guess, a federal holiday, but yet and still look at how we still treat it in this country. Look at how we still treat it in this country. All kinds of festivities, family. We're quick to jump on bandwagons as a people, and I don't mean this as a insult. I mean, we jump on. We're quick to jump on bandwagons. We have not received one dime of reparations. Our people were forced into slavery. Received not a single dime of reparations. Even the KKK received some type of resources. Even the slave owners received some type of compensation for freeing our people, supposedly. When they did away with outlawing, well, they really didn't outlaw slavery. They just use choice of words inside the Constitution of, if you get into any type of trouble, then you can go into slavery. So technically, slavery still exists. But family, should we care as a people about this holiday? Many people would literally that kick against the pricks about honoring Shabbat, honoring the feast days, but then they will promote every man-made holiday, such as this day right here. They would celebrate Juneteenth. Family, I got a problem with that. I have a problem with that. But let's go ahead and get into the lesson. And you know how we do, family. I like to interact with you guys. And I know this is a untimely live. I did not schedule it. So I know others may get the notification. If they get the notification, they'll jump on as we progress here. But I just wanted to just express my thoughts on this. Touched on it a little bit, expressing it earlier today at the Shabbat, how this day just really don't do anything for me. But I want you guys to pay attention to this. I want you guys to pay attention to this, right? I want to say this, and I mean it. Keep Juneteenth. Keep it. Give us our reparations. Give us what's due to our people. Give us what is due to our people. And matter of fact, before I get into my main portion of this lesson, let me pull up a slide here for reparations, because you have a lot of so-called Christians that will try to use the word right, try to misuse the word by stating that the Bible doesn't give any, there's no scriptures that says reparations should be given to our people, should be given to any people, right? They will take out of context the actual text to support their deceptive teaching. So let me pull this up real quick. Let me do something here. I think this is the slide here. Let me do something here before we get into where the main meat and potatoes. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to pull this up here because, again, reparations is in the scriptures. Let me pull this up here. And some of you guys probably remember this from the lesson that I did on the Passover. Let's see here. Let me make sure here. That's not what I want. Let's see. Is this the one? All right. Yeah, we're going to deal with this one right here. Let me pull this off here. And I'm going to bring this over. All right. And we'll get started here. Let me pull this over. And we'll touch on reparations real quick for those that want to kick against it. All right. Let's see. I got it up here. All right. Here we go. Let's go back to the slide presentation. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Let's start with addressing reparations real quick. Let's deal with the scriptures, and then we'll get into some other historical events. And I'm going to explain to you why none of us should be celebrating Juneteenth, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 35 and 36, right? I want you guys to really get an understanding in how to explain and express the text here, because reparations is in the holy text, right? So Exodus chapter 12, verse 35 and 36, it says this: "And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, Mashah, and they borrowed Shalah or Sha'al of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment." Let me read it again. "And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment." Verse 36, "And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. So they lent," right? Sha'al Wath, or Sha'al Wam, is the word here, "unto them such things as they required," right? "And they spoiled Natzal or Natsal the Egyptians." Let me read that again. "And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians." Now, I want to make it clear, they did not give Israel a loan, right? The Most High did not have Israel demand reparations in the form of a loan to pay back. Why? Because they've been in captivity for 215 years under the Egyptians. Been in captivity 215 years at this point. So the Most High is having the people through Moses. Moses gave the command, the charge for the people to demand being compensated for their the forced labor that they were subjected to, that they had to endure. So it says here, the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed. So did the Israelites take out a loan? No, family. Did the Egyptians, as a matter of fact, before we continue, let me plug this up before my thing goes blank on me. Let me go ahead and get my charger. Let me show you an animation here on what not an animation, but a video that we're going to cover here. But let me do this real quick. Let me get my charger before my battery go dead here. Then we have to stop and start over. So let me go ahead and start with this video, and I'm going to go ahead and get my charger. Here we go. This is one of the videos we're going to cover. All right. So sorry about that, family. Had to run and get my charger to my tablet here. So didn't want it to go dead while we were in the middle of the live. But continuing on, and we're going to cover that clip that I shared here, because we're going to give proper clarity on why none of us should be celebrating Juneteenth. We shouldn't be celebrating. You know, we haven't arrived. Give us what's owed to us. Reparations. I'm not celebrating none of this stuff here. So did the Egyptians extend a line of credit to Israel, is where we left off at. Did the Egyptians extend a line of credit to the Israelites according to scripture? Let's deal with the Hebrew definition of the word borrow, right? We see sha'al, right? It means to inquire, to request, to demand, lay to charge, right? So they did not go to the Egyptians asking for a loan. They are demanding, laying to charge, making it clear that the Egyptians owe them. So Israel was instructed to demand, not take out a loan. As instructed, Israel requested reparations from the Egyptians, right? Requested reparations from the Egyptians. Now, let me add one more slide here. I thought I had it here. Let me give you confirmation of this. This is a source coming directly from, let me see here. I think this is it. Yeah, let me show you from this source, a particular source, how the Israelites became rich. All right, let me copy this over here as well. All right, where is it? Let me copy this over. I thought I had it in here, but I didn't. So let me place this inside the presentation. All right. Now, as instructed, Israel requested reparations from the Egyptians. All right. They requested reparation from the Egyptians. So if we go to, and here's the source, the admonitions of an Egyptian sage from a hieratic papyrus of Leiden, right? Page 48. This is what it says. And as you see here, the destruction of such lists would naturally result in slaves claiming an independence to which they were not entitled, right? On page 31 of the same source, notice what it says. Forsooth, gold and lapis, lazuli, silver, and malachite, carnelian and bronze, stone of Yebet, and it goes on to say, are fastened on the necks of the females. Good things are in the land, yet the mistress of the house say, would that we have something to eat. Okay. Page 61 of the same source. Behold, the poor of the land have become rich, and the possessors of property has become one who has nothing. All right. So just want to give you some additional sources to prove that the Egyptians, right, they had to give reparations. It was a forced reparations. All right. Israel had to demand reparations. Okay. So let's go ahead and deal with Juneteenth. What is Juneteenth for those that are not familiar with Juneteenth? What is Juneteenth? Should we celebrate Juneteenth? Right. This is history.com. This particular article is titled "What is Juneteenth?" and just a real brief history of it for those that are not familiar with Juneteenth. Right. Juneteenth, right, short for June 19th, marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and assure that all enslaved people be free. The troops' arrival came a full 2 years, right? 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth honors the end to slavery in the United States and is considered the longest running African American holiday. Let me read that again. Juneteenth honors the end to slavery in the United States and is considered the longest running African American holiday. On June 17th, 2021, it officially became a federal holiday. So again, the troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So let's give a few facts about the Emancipation Proclamation. On September 22nd, soon after the Union victory at Antietam, I'm messing up this word. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. Antietam, he issued a preliminary Emancipation Proclamation declaring that as of January 1st, 1863, all slaves in the rebellious state shall be thenceforth or forward and forever free. While the Emancipation Proclamation did not free a single slave. Notice what it says. It says the Emancipation Proclamation did not free a single slave. Let me read it one more time. I'm not going to do slow-mo right now. But notice what it says. While the Emancipation Proclamation did not free a single slave. This is something that we should know, family. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free our ancestors, but it was an important tool that was used. I didn't put the whole thing here, but it was an important tool that was used. Abraham Lincoln didn't care anything about our people. He cared about the Union. So what was President Lincoln's true position on slavery? What was his true position on slavery? Slavery was an unqualified evil to the Negroes. The white man in the state, said Abraham Lincoln in 1850s. Yet in his first inaugural address, Lincoln declared that he had no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with slavery in the United States where it exists. He reiterated this pledge in his first message to Congress on July 4th, 1861, when the Civil War was 3 months old. What explains this apparent inconsistency in Lincoln's statement And how did he get from his pledge not to interfere with slavery to a decision a year later to issue an emancipation? So, what was President Lincoln's true thoughts towards our people? The Emancipation Proclamation had nothing to do with his desire to free us, because here's his true thoughts about us. And you could you could search for this speech right here, Lincoln's speech, Charleston, Illinois, September 18th, 1858, and you could confirm these quotes here. I will say then that I am not nor ever have been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races, that I am not nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office or qualifying them hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. And in as much as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And as I much as any of her men am I in favor of, excuse me, there got to be a typo there, but in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. So he wanted to make sure his community stayed in a dominant position. He did not care anything about us. You know, before the Republican Party took root, you had what is called the Whig Party, right? And they just grew a conscience about slavery. They didn't care about our conditions. They didn't care about compensating us. They didn't care about us being equal. Some of them grew a conscience just about us being enslaved. Had nothing to do with wanting to treat us equal, wanted to do away with a lot of the degrading things that began to be established within the governmental system. Had nothing to do with it. And Lincoln, remember, President Obama swore in office using his Bible, giving honor to him. This man had no care in the world for our community. It was all about his people. He goes on to say, our Republican system was meant for a homogeneous people. He declared, as long as the Negroes continue to live with the whites, they will constitute a threat to the national life. Family life might also collapse, and the increase of the mixed breed bastards might someday challenge the supremacy of the white man. Challenge whose supremacy? The supremacy of the white man. He's making it clear. He's making it clear. It was all about keeping this white supremacy that today we're supposed to be up in arms about. President Lincoln went to what? As you see here, he said that we, right, his concern, and I'll read it again, family life might also collapse, and the increase of the mixed breed bastards might someday challenge the supremacy of the white man. And yet we sit up here celebrating Juneteenth. We're sitting up here celebrating and feeding into this historical poor account, stating that we were waiting, our ancestors on watch night were waiting anticipation of being free, the Emancipation Proclamation being declared. Let's give a garbage can to this foolishness. And let's give a three-piece and give them their order to go. Let me read that again. Our Republican system, these are the words of Lincoln. Our Republican system was meant for a homogeneous people. He declared, as long as the Negro continued to live with the whites, they would constitute a threat to the national life. Family life might also collapse, and the increase of the mixed breed bastards might someday challenge the supremacy of the white man. So should we celebrate Juneteenth? Should we celebrate Juneteenth, family? Should we, as a people, give President Lincoln props as being, and unfortunately, many of our people will look at him as some type of messiah? Should we celebrate him? Should we celebrate Juneteenth? I'll post some of your comments here, right? Remember, we have a cloud of witnesses that are watching us, so let's be respectful in our comments, right? Rashida said no. Miss Yvette said no. Who else do we have here? Sister Carol, you responded to someone. Omiya says no. Woy, or W-O-Y, him impalled, right? No. Looks like everyone is saying no. No. Inspired identity, no. Iana, no. Sleep quietly. Tired toys, no. Let's see here. Mazayan Israel, no. Larry Jones, no. Brother James, no. Mr. The Original, no. So far, it's unanimous. None of us should be celebrating. Yah's son, no. Let's see. Prophet Kwame, excuse me. Okay, I see it. Kwame. This holiday is just a token trinket that has no value. I agree with you, my brother. Excuse me for fumbling your name as well. Don't want to disrespect you in any kind of way. For Sasi Dach, no. Israelite wife, nada. The servant of the Most High, never. Let's see here. Annie Hall didn't post a yes or no. Trayvon Chapman, no. Let's see here. Timothy Prince, no. Chosen One indeed, no. Right? So we all agree we should not be celebrating this holiday, this so-called holiday. What does it do for us? What does it do for us? This holiday that's right in the smack middle of Pride Month, right? We should not be celebrating this, but let's give some reasons here. Should we celebrate Juneteenth? No. Let's start here because most of our people don't realize slavery existed in this country well into the 60s and early 70s. Slavery existed in this country even after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation, even after the initial celebration of Juneteenth 2.5 years later, with troops being sent to Texas on June 19th. Black people in the U.S. were enslaved well into the 60s. Right? I'm just reading some bullets from here, just a brief bullets, and I'll share another article. I know a group of people who didn't receive their freedom until the 1950s. She had me over to her house where I met about 20 people, all who had worked on the Waterford plantation in Charles Parish, Louisiana. They told me they had worked the fields for most of their lives. One way or another, they had become indebted to the plantation's owner and were not allowed to leave the property. This situation had them living their lives as 20th century slaves. At the end of the harvest, when they tried to settle up with the owner, they were always told they didn't make it into the black and to try again next year. So every passing year, the workers fell deeper and deeper into debt. Some of the folks were tied to the land into the 1960s. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Most shocking of all was their fear. I saw time and time again, people were afraid to share their stories. They were afraid to give this information to me, even behind closed doors decades later. They believed that they might somehow get sent back to a plantation that wasn't even operating anymore. Come on, family. Come on, family. How come we're not talking about this? How come we're not discussing this? Where's the Jewish community as we know them talking about this? Where's the Steve Harveys and all these different people out here talking about this? How come Al Sharpton is not talking about this? How come the NAACP is not talking about this? How come the Black Caucus are not talking about this? And then they want to get us to say or believe that this stuff doesn't matter? 60s and 70s. Our people were being enslaved up into the 60s and 70s. Come on, family. Come on, family. We got to wake up. We have to wake up, family. We have to wake up. Another article, sisters, we were modern day slaves, right? We were modern day slaves. So that clip, the two clips that I played for you, and I'll play it for you one more time. For those that have come in late, I'll play it one more time. If you have not seen the movie, I encourage you guys to watch the movie. It's called Alice, right? I encourage you guys to watch that movie, Alice. That's what these clips come from, right? It's a good movie. For me, I think it's okay. I think because it shares a history that no one wants to talk about, but know that it existed. So let's play it. I'm going to play the two clips and then we'll talk about it. All right. And we'll deal with the word landlord. We'll break that down again, as I did a while back when I was dealing with the subject. All right. But let's go ahead and play these two clips and then we'll discuss it.
He said, if you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God and do that which is right in his eyes, adhere to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians. For I am the Lord your healer.
Mr. Paul. Oh, Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, go to rest.
All right. So that is this testimony that I'm sharing here is based off of that movie. That movie is based off of this. And I want to say this to everyone here. And I want to say that, you know, when we're dealing with Juneteenth, I don't endorse it at all. We should not be celebrating Juneteenth, right? As I stated over and over again, yes, we made progress, but progress does not equate to freedom. Progress does not equate to freedom. Progress, hey, you know, we all work in positions that our previous generations weren't privy to. You know, we're able to obtain certain things that the late generations were not privy to, but we're still not free as a people. You know, just because they removed the chains around our necks, the chains from our ankles and wrists, guess what? We're not free. There are chains on our minds right now that our people are still struggling with. I know some of you guys, even with after all what I've been teaching about over the past week or two about niggas or niggas or nagad from a Hebraic perspective, many of you guys are still going to say Niger because of not just don't want to let go of that comfort. As my old pastor used to say all the time, if the pain of change is greater than remaining the same, people will rather remain the same. So some of you guys are still going to say Niger instead of saying nigga or negus or nagad. So let's go and read this testimony here, right? Notice what it says here. As Mae Miller tells it, she spent her youth in Mississippi as a slave, picking cotton, pulling corn, picking peas, picking butter beans, picking string beans, digging potatoes. Whatever it was, that's what you did for no money at all. Miller and her sister Annie's tale of bondage ended in the 60s, not the 1860s, when slaves officially were freed after the Civil War, but in the 1960s. Their story, which ABC News has not confirmed independently, is not unheard of. Let me make it clear. They said they weren't able to confirm whether or not this story was true, but they made it clear that it is not unheard of. These testimonies, and for it to happen, is not unheard of. And notice what they make reference to. Justice Department records tell of prosecutions well into the 20th century of whites who continue to keep blacks in involuntary servitude. Let me read that again, family, and let this sink in. This is ABC News, and I'm going to look and see if I can get the original news videos on this, and I'll upload it here. It says here, Justice Department records tells of prosecutions well into the 20th century of whites who continue to keep blacks in involuntary servitude. And this is into the 60s and 70s. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing went into the 90s, the 80s, the 90s. So just because they could not confirm because of the plantation is no longer there, doesn't mean that this did not happen to them. That's what this means. So again, Justice Department records tell of prosecutions well into the 20th century of whites who continue to keep blacks in involuntary servitude, coercing them with threats on their lives, exploiting their ignorance of life and the laws beyond the plantation where they were born. Don't run away. They'll kill us. The sisters say that's how it happened to them. That's how it happened them. They were born in the 1930s and 40s into a world where their father, Cain Wall, now believed to be 105 years old, had already been forced into labor. And I believe he had filed a lawsuit in Chicago. Had already been forced into slave labor. So well into the 20th century, whites who continued to keep blacks in involuntary servitude. So how is this situation related to sharecropping? Because it's related to sharecropping, because sharecropping is nothing more than slavery. It was a hustle. Let me explain here. Red Summer, 1919, Elaine Massacre. Some of you guys probably remember this. Phillips County, which is bounded on the east by the Mississippi River, which separates it from the state of Mississippi, on the side by Desha County, on the west by the counties of Arkansas and Monroe, and on the north by Lee County, all rich Delta land. The general section was commonly referred to as the Black Belt. Since there was a high concentration of Negroes, many of whom were sharecroppers and tenants on numerous plantations found in that region, right? In 1910, the county had a population of 26,354 Negroes and only 7,176 white people. Thus, about 78.6% of the total population was Negro. The land was devoted to raising of cotton on the plantation system. The land was owned by the whites, and most of the labor was performed by the Negroes, the niggers, the negas, the negas. That, I'll give you some different pronunciation of it. The negrees or niggers, nigger, right? They was done by our people that went under different titles that still mean the same. Nagad, right? That's the Hebrew term for king. If we want to be real, we keep calling each other kings. All right, these words mean king. Negas means king. Naga, the Hebrew equivalent to that word, means king, means captive, means governor. All right, so 78.6% of the total population was negas. All right, October 1st through the 4th, reigned terror lasting 4 days. 5 out of 11 Negroes were reported killed, although the numbers were much higher of Negroes killed. So whenever you see this, and this is after June 19th, Juneteenth, well after. This is Red Summer, which began in 1918, 1919. Tulsa was basically the conclusion of it. 3 dozen of our communities went through this terror right here. So whatever numbers that you see that they would have on record about our ancestors being killed, the numbers were far higher, much higher, much higher. So what events led to this massacre? And this is going to tie in what we just covered. Between the time of planting and selling, the sharecroppers took up food, clothing, and necessity at excessive prices from the plantation store owned by the planter. It was not a practice of the landowner and sharecroppers to go together to a market to dispose the cotton when it was ready. Rather, the landlord sold the crop whenever and however he saw fit. At the time of settlement, neither of the itemized statement of accounts owed nor an accounting of the money received for cotton and seed was in most cases given or shown the Negroes. The total amount owed was stated, and the Negroes then given a settlement which inevitably was much lesser. It was much lower, right? Tying into Deuteronomy 28:31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thy donkey shall be violently taken away from thee taken away before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. So uh, they kept many of our ancestors in debt, sharecropping, kept many of our ancestors, niggas, in debt with the landlord. So let me show you what landlord actually means. This is coming from the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary of in-depth definitions. Baal, we see a husband, we see owner, right? Baal also transliterates to Lord, right? So owner, often used with another noun. So you'll see Baal of the air, Baal of the water, Baal of the sea. So they had different Baals when you understand the Babylonian culture. So guess what? They had a Baal of the land, right? So let's deal with the Encyclopedia of Demonology, right? Demons and Demonology, definition of Baal. And I'm going to tie this all together. Notice what it says here: an agricultural and fertility deity of Canaan. Let me say that again. Baal, an agricultural and fertility deity of Canaan. And this is the spirit of the landlord, turned into a fallen angel and a demon. Many minor deities of ancient Syria and Persia carried the name Baal, which means the Lord. The greatest Baal was the son of El, the high god of Canaan, and he was the Lord of life and ruled the death rebirth cycle. He engaged in a battle with Mot, in other words, death, and was slain and sent to the underworld. The crops withered until Baal's sister, Anath, the maiden goddess of love, found his body and gave it proper burial. The Canaanites, doesn't that sound a little bit similar to the Egyptians, right? When you start dealing with the story of Seth, the story of Osiris, and what's that? Osiris. I can't think of the name of it. Isis and Osiris. There it is. Isis and Osiris, right? Doesn't that sound familiar? Sounds similar to that, right? Seth killed his brother, right? Osiris chopped him up, and his wife Isis had to go out and get all his body parts and bring it together and wrapped it, mummified him. That sounds familiar, right? So they found his body and gave it proper burial. The Canaanites worshiped Baal by sacrificing children by burning. According to the Zohar, Baal equal in rank to the archangel Raphael. Not dealing with all that, but this is what it makes reference to. Zohar, that's getting into Jewish mysticism. So Baal is the first of the 72 spirits of Solomon, right? When you start understanding Solomon went way out in left field, worshiping all kinds of different deities, right? Because through the women that he married. So again, owner often used with another noun, right? So Baal, owner, often used with another noun. So Baal. So what's the other noun that we could put here? So landlord means Baal, or owner of the land. So Baal of what? The land. That's the word that we making the connection with. Baal of the land. So the oppressed Negroes not knowingly operated in the spirit of Beelzebub. So in an attempt to make ease of the situation with Baal of the land, right? So they entered into an agreement, right, with the enemy, with this demonic spirit, hoping that it was going to help them. Let me explain Beelzebub real quick, right? This is coming from the Encyclopedia of Demons and Demonology, right? Prince of Demons, Beelzebub, originally an idol of the Canaanites, means Lord of the Flies. The name is a distortion of Baal-Zebul, the chief Canaanite or Phoenician god, meaning Lord of the divine abode or Lord of the heavens. Beelzebub manifests either as a gigantic, ugly fly or as a monstrous being of great height on a giant throne. In his latter guise, he has a swollen face and chest, huge nostril horns, bat wings, duck feet, a lion's tail, and a covering of thick black hair. But here's the kicker. Beelzebub has been a feared and formidable demon from the earliest accounts of him. He was the prince of demons in Hebrew belief at the time of Yahushai. The Pharisees accused Yahushai of exorcising demons in Beelzebub's name. For according to belief, the power to expel unclean spirits was gained through pacts with demons. See, that's why those Pharisees, right, they were trying to say that our Messiah entered into an agreement with Beelzebub, right? He was able to cast out demons because he was in constitution with them. And the Messiah shut them down. Says Satan can't cast out Satan. So that's the whole story about Beelzebub, is that many, right? Many Israelites, because Israelites constantly went through getting into all this esoteric stuff and other deities and other belief systems, incorporating it into Awadabar HaQuadash. Guess what? This is some of the things that they were doing. They were entering into agreements with these foul spirits, hoping that these foul spirits would give them the power to overcome certain demons. Right? Perfect example. Isaiah chapter 30. Israel, right? The leaders went to Egypt, entered into an agreement, right, with the bondage, the very community that the Most High delivered them from, went and entered in an agreement with them, hoping that they would protect them from the Syrians who was threatening to come. All right, so fraternities and sororities will not redeem you, because guess what? Those are dealing with pledges. So the answer, right? They thought the answer, so they thought, would be in the appeal of the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America, right? Lodges of the unions were established from April through August at Ratio Elaine, Hoopspur, Old Town, Ferguson, Countess, and Melwood. The objective of the union composed of Negro farmers and laborers of both sexes. So they decided to create their own fraternity, hoping that, and based off the motto of what? The Masons, hoping that this was going to circumvent the situation, which actually it didn't. They didn't care about them taking on Masonic orders and structuring their group after that, because most of them were Masons, right? So they thought this was to advance their interests of the Negro morally and intellectually, and to make him a better citizen and better farmer. So the union had been organized in 1918 in Winchester, Arkansas. The Articles of Incorporation being Williamson and Williamson. These were white attorneys and filed in legal form. So the Elaine riots, right, of 1919. Here's the article. The union was a fraternal and social organization modeled after Masonic groups with a religious and biblical base, right? And you could get this, you could download this, the article, the Arkansas Historical Quarterly, summer 1960. This is what I'm quoting from. So our brothers and sisters began to get into all kinds of mesh with fraternities and sororities to try to circumvent the situation. See, family, that's what we see happening today. We're being told by our brothers and sisters, especially when they go to college, encouraging them to join fraternities and sororities, that it'll help make their life better, which that is furthest from the truth. So the union was a fraternal and social organization modeled after Masonic groups with a religious and biblical base. There were officers, duties, application forms, membership cards, special rallying songs. Provision was made for a salaried deputy whose duty was to organize other clubs in the country. Over the local clubs, also called lodges and orders, was the Grand Lodge of the Union, also referred to as the Grand Lodge. Its purpose was to further advance the cause, uniting the race into a perfect union in various countries. The Grand Lodge had power to levy special taxes on subordinate lodges for the purpose of purchasing land for the union, Twice a year, the Grand Lodge, composed of 3 delegates from subordinate lodges, was to meet at the county seats respective counties. The promotive literature of the Union made its appeal to Negroes to affiliate by quoting Bible passages. See, they began to mix and mesh with these fraternities, and they started reeling in our brothers and sisters by mixing Bible passages with their charter, with their initiations, their rituals. Just what we see today with these fraternities and sororities. So each applicant desiring to join the union had to undergo an examination and answer under oath such questions as, do you attend church? Do you believe in country? Do you believe in God? And will you defend this government and her constitution at all times? See the brainwashing? This literature was also characterized by an official tone as if the union was sponsored by the federal government. See, they had our brothers and sisters subscribing to this foolishness, having them believing that the government is backing them. That, hey, they joined this fraternity, and they don't have to worry about any issues, and that their problems go away. So the Negroes leaders pledged through their union that they would defend the United States covenant, which is called the Constitution. So what does it mean to pledge? In a nutshell, it means to use your life as collateral. That's all it means. To promise, to give over as security for repayment. Put under oath, put someone under oath. In other words, you're using your life as collateral, right? I'm not going to get into this right here. So, they pledged themselves to this. And that was the beginning of the war called Red Summer. Right? Between 11 p.m. and 12:30 a.m., the meeting was broken up by an exchange of gunfire between Union members and or around the church and men near an automobile. The men at the car were Special Agent W.A. Atkins of the Missouri Pacific Railroad, Deputy Charles Pratt, and a Negro trustee. They claimed that they were going to arrest and supposed bootlegger who lived in that vicinity, that their car broke down near the Negro church, and that they were fired upon by the Negroes. And so Atkins was killed and Pratt was wounded. The Negro trustee escaped unhurt and reported the shooting by telephone to Helena citizens. The Negroes at Hoop Spurs reported that the white men fired first, which we know that happened. We know that's usually the case. Apparently to break up the Union meeting, and that they returned the gunfire. By early morning, word circulated among the Negroes in the vicinity of Elaine that whites were going to kill all Negroes. And this is coming from the Forgotten History of American Worst Racial Massacre, September 30th, 2019. Notice what this says, and we'll get back to tying this all together because it's still dealing with the things that extended from sharecropping, the things that the forced slavery on our people, but disguising it as sharecropping and other things. So a Memphis reporter described events on October 2nd after the troops had arrived. Troops and vigilantes, he noted, went into the crane breaks in search of Negro desperados, leaving dead bodies lying in the road a few miles outside of the city. Enraged citizens fired at the bodies of the dead Negroes as they rode out of Helena towards Elaine. Still others described the barbarism of cutting off the ears or toes of dead Negroes for souvenirs. Family, come on now. This is what they were doing. This is why I have this image in the back here. They were chopping off body parts and using it as souvenirs. And if you study Sam Holt, they were actually eating many of our ancestors. And we're talking about celebrating Juneteenth. We're talking about celebrating Juneteenth. Come on, family. I could go further with this. As you see here, still others describe the barbarism of cutting off the ears or toes of dead Negroes for souvenirs and dragging of their bodies through the streets of Elaine. And we're talking about Juneteenth. We're talking about during the time that we're living in, just a year ago, a year or two ago, we had to witness Ahmaud Arbery being lynched, being hunted like an dog, like an animal, like a deer. Actually, they would have showed more respect to a deer. Gunned down. And we're sitting up here celebrating Juneteenth. Come on, family. Come on, family. Gerald B. Lambert, the founder of Listerine, who owned 21,000 acres near Elaine, saw white men, because he gave a testimony, saw white men spread throughout the woods, firing at any suspicious person. A steel gondola car was hauled back and forth on the railroad tracks. He said, adding, the men inside firing from the shelter of the steel walls of the car, shooting black people. He also told how soldiers brought a suspected union leader to his company for a store for interrogation, poured kerosene over his body and tossed a match. Let me show you this again. Notice what it says. Soldiers, military soldiers were killing our people. That's why I said it was an all-out war. It wasn't just in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Military soldiers were dispatched and they were subjecting our people to all kinds of evilness. So it says, and this is the president of Listerine, the owner, the founder of Listerine, as you see here, Gerald B. Lambert, the founder of Listerine, who owned 21,000 acres of near Elaine, saw white men spread throughout the woods, firing at any suspicious person. A steel gondola car was hauled back and forth on the railroad track. He said, adding, this is the founder of Listerine sharing his testimony. The men inside firing from the shelter of the steel car walls of the car, shooting black people. He also told how soldiers brought a suspected union leader to his company store for interrogation, poured kerosene over his body, and tossed a match. So the account that best captured the perspective of the sharecroppers came from Ida Wells Barnett, the legendary anti-lynching crusader and journalist. She had been driven from her, I didn't put it all here. All right, so my apologies. So, and these are some of the highlights of Red Summer, right? 36 communities, right? So notice what this says here as we wrap this portion up and get back to the main topic that we want to close out with. White men from other parts of Arkansas, from Tennessee, Mississippi, streamed into Phillips County to join the fight against what whites were calling the Black insurrectionists. The Negroes made such a show of strength that requests were made to Governor Charles H. Breaux, at Little Rock to send federal troops to Camp Pike. So you see, they got federal troops, military. The governor accompanied 500 United States soldiers armed with 12 machine guns and other weapons, machine guns, bombs, grenades, to Elaine and Helena. Elaine was placed under martial law, and the soldiers anxiously joined the fighting against the Negroes, all of whom were rounded up and placed in a stockade. The troops combed the area and found the area around Elaine for a radius of 50 miles. Governor Breaux was fired upon while following troops into the crane breaks. In a few days, the troops had established a semblance of order. So the Negroes were not only held responsible for the conflict, but we also suffered a much larger number of fatalities. From the very beginning of the riots, news released news releases went out to the world blaming them or blaming our ancestors for the violence and portraying our ancestors as murderers and insurrectionists who had plotted to massacre the white population. So again, you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as indentured servants, and no man nor his system will redeem you. That's the proper understanding of Deuteronomy 28:68. And family, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there. I am going to stop right there. So why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why are we celebrating it? Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why? Why? Oh, got my camera on. Forgot to turn my camera off, but it's all good. As you can see, family, I'm in a different position in my office. I'm on the actual front side of my desk. Right? Normally, you guys see me sitting behind my desk. So in front of me, you know, that's where my props and everything is set up, my screens and everything. But anyway, like I said, family, why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why? Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? Why are we celebrating these man-made holidays made by the very people that have enslaved us, that are descendants of the people that have enslaved us? We've been enslaved. We're still enslaved in our minds because so many of our brothers and sisters don't want to let go of certain things, certain strongholds. It really saddened me when I saw some of our brothers and sisters, even after teaching them this truth about certain things, still want to hold on to the lie. Still want to hold on to the lie. See, we've been really taught incorrectly. And family, my mic is over here, so I can't pull it. I don't want it to fall out. So hopefully you guys can still hear me, but I don't want to lean all the way over to it like this, right? So family, why are we still celebrating it? Why are we engaging in this? We shouldn't. We shouldn't be celebrating Juneteenth. We should not be celebrating any of these holidays. We should be celebrating the laws, statutes, and commandments, the feast days. I'm going to play the beginning of that clip, the first clip, one more time to see how, so you can hear how the people that have enslaved us, they knew Deuteronomy 28. They knew Deuteronomy 28. They used Deuteronomy 28 to enslave us. They knew Deuteronomy 28. Let me check something out real quick. Let me just test something out here. I'm going to play that clip one more time. Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm going to have to download it. I want to see. I thought I had it. Let me check one more thing. The Slave Bible. I want to check something here. Let me see here. I'm trying to see if I could download it here. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to have to download it. I'm going to have to search for it. Let me see here. Let me see if this is it right here. Yeah, I got it here. I have it here. Let me see if I could download it. And I want to just kind of test something here. So let me download it while I have you guys on here. And I believe it's going to confirm where my thoughts is with this. So let me share while I'm pulling that down. Let me share this clip with you guys again, how they were taking scripture out of context to enslave our people, to keep us in bondage. Here we go. Let's play it one more time.
He said, if you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God and do that which is right in his eyes, adhere to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians. For I am the Lord your healer.
Mr. Paul. Oh, Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, go to rest.
Unbelievable, family. And that clip is just the tip of the iceberg of what our ancestors had to go through. Quoting scripture, selective scriptures, that's going to justify keeping us or them enslaving us. Let me check on something here. I want to see something here. Yeah, I have to take a look at this right here because I wanted to look inside this Bible. I just downloaded the Slave Bible and I want to see if, for example, Deuteronomy 28 is inside here. Let me see here. Let's see, because we see in that movie and other movies, Deuteronomy 28 is being used. Let's see here, 100 as kings. So let's see here, Deuteronomy. Now, family, I have the slave database. I mean, the slave Bible that they were using, right? I have the slave Bible that they were using. Oh, this is a major hit right here. Let me show you, right? Let me show you, because it's okay, right, for these slave owners, right, who many of the people that's trying to tell us we're not the people of the book. It's okay for these slave owners. Let me show you this, family. I decided to pull up the slave Bible, the Bible that they used to enslave our people. And they used Deuteronomy 28 to enslave our people. But let me pull it up on the screen. Let me pull it up for you guys, family. Yes. Yes. Let me pull it up here. Let me show you what I see. I'm doing this live, right? I'm doing this research live. I want you guys to see what I see. Yeah. These guys want to talk about that Deuteronomy 28 is not dealing with our people, but you have these slave owners, which many of these guys are descendants from, using Deuteronomy 28 to enslave us. Let me see if I can pull it up here. All right, I'm gonna have to share the whole screen because for some reason my PDF is not showing here. All right. All right, I'll have to do it this way. Let me share my whole screen. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I have it up right here. Right, this is what you see here, family. Right, notice what you see here. This is Deuteronomy 28. This is the Bible that they modified to make sure everything that's related to keeping our people enslaved. This is it right here. So let's get to the curses or the consequences. Let's see what it says here. Let's see what it says here. Cursed shall be thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Let me matter of fact, let me do it this way. I want to make sure you guys can see it clearly. Let me change the view so I can zoom in. All right, just so that way you guys can read it as well. You guys can follow me. Like PRT, poor righteous teachers. Follow me now, see? Right? The old school PRT, poor righteous teachers. Right? So notice here, we see the consequences. These are the consequences. These are the things these are the passages that they use to enslave our people, from taking our property, taking our women, taking our children, taking everything. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. But let's see if they have verse 68 here. Let's see if they have verse 68 here, because they're not going to have it both ways, right? Let's see if they got verse 68 here. Let's see if they have verse 68 here. Notice this here, family. They have verse 68 here. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Let me read that again. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond and bondwomen. No man shall buy you. So, family, this is the slave Bible. This is the Bible that they use to enslave our people with, to basically read these passages to our people, saying that this is our punishment. You know, what we've been subjected to is because of us. It's what the white man, so to speak, is supposed to do to us. We're supposed to be subjected to these behaviors, these heinous crimes, this brutality. You see it right here, Deuteronomy 28, 68. So they can't have their cake and eat it too. I challenge anyone now. If anyone wants to challenge me on this, come on. Who won? Come test. Who won? Come test. So they can use Deuteronomy 28, 68 and say that that's not us. But we see, right, the Christians of that time, right, the church of that time, who produced this Bible for the slave owners, they used Deuteronomy 28 to show and justify their cruelties to our people. So they know what they were doing. Come on, let's see if they talk about this. Let's see if they talk about this. See, family, that's how you catch them up. See, they can't say Deuteronomy 28 is not talking about us, but during slavery, at the height of slavery, guess what? They were using Deuteronomy 28 to say that it was about us, and they are the ones that are bringing forth. They're the Egyptians in that text. Come on, family. That is that. We got to give a garbage can to this, family. We got to give a garbage can to this. Drop a link inside the comment section, right? I'm going to drop a link into the comment section, right? Family, you can't get away from that. You cannot get around that. I just share with you from the slave Bible, right? I just share with you from the slave Bible. They use Deuteronomy 28. Those are one of the passages that they use to justify their behaviors towards us. They use Deuteronomy 28:68 as a passage of confirming that we're supposed to be enslaved, that we are supposed to be dealt with the way that we were dealt with. But now these so-called apologists, these so-called Christian apologists, you see all across the board trying to say, no, that's not what Deuteronomy 28:68 means. See, that was part of this captivity over here. No, it's a perpetual punishment for Israel. It's perpetual. So the question is, why during that time it was okay to use Deuteronomy 28:68 to justify and say that that passage is referring to us, that passage is referring to that Egypt is referring to the United States and all the other countries that have enslaved our people. But now that we're supposedly be free, now we're coming to the understanding that, wait a minute, not now, because most of us already knew that. Our ancestors during that time, many of them knew that we were connected to Israelites, the Israelites. They knew that. They knew that we were connected to Israel. My ancestors passed that down. We see the writings down in Savannah. So you can't have it both ways. Who want to come test? Who want to come challenge me with this verse right here? I have the slave Bible that the church, Christianity, Catholicism, and guess what? I believe Judaism as well. The Jews at that time had their hands in on this slave Bible. So you want to talk about Deuteronomy 28, saying that it's not about us, but here we have a slave Bible that they purposely took out all the scriptures, right, that encourage freedom. They took those passages out, but they made sure Deuteronomy 28 was there. And we hear them quoting this inside the movies, but I'm sure that they were quoting this when they was basically letting our ancestors know that this is allowed. God, right, allowed this, that we are the people of the book at that time, saying this is you guys. This is you guys. So you can't have it both ways. We see it right here. This is the slave Bible, right? This is the slave Bible. Deuteronomy 28, and they taught that Deuteronomy 28 referred to us, and it's referred to slavery at that time. That ships, right? The Egyptians, come on, family, can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that it's 1 minute you say it's about us, but now conveniently you want to say it doesn't mean what it says. Come on, family. Appreciate Black to My Roots for the super sticker. I want to say thank you. Really appreciate you, sis. All right. All right, family. I'm about to wrap this up. I threw the link inside the comment section. If anyone want to jump on, feel free. Family, you can't get around it. Thank you again for Black to My Roots for the love and support. Really appreciate you. Shut it down. Shut anyone down that says that Deuteronomy 28:68 is not about our people. Shut it down. Shut it down with ease. The slave Bible is what they use. The slave Bible is what they use. And you know what? I'm going to do some additional research. I want to see some documentation as well. I'm gonna confirm. I'm gonna do some additional things here because that's me. I like to have multiple witnesses, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna answer a few additional questions here that I have to shut down these naysayers. So again, we see in the slave Bible, Deuteronomy 28:68 is right there. Matter of fact, Deuteronomy 28, the entire chapter is there. So family, that's it right there. I don't have anything else I'm going to share tonight, but I know this was a last minute live to talk to you guys about this Juneteenth. Return to sender, just like we would do if we got mail that didn't belong to us. At least I hope you guys do this. We just put return to sender. We let the mailman know, return to sender. This is not ours. This doesn't belong to anyone inside this household. Family, return to sender. All this foolishness that many are trying to do to try to come at our community. I'm a proud Israelite. I'm a proud Hebrew Israelite. I'll say it that way, because I know some of our brothers and sisters are starting to, succumb to the pressure, because they want to say, well, I really, I'm not going to call myself a Hebrew Israelite anymore. I'm just going to call myself an Israelite, or I'm not going to call myself a Hebrew Israelite because the word Hebrew is not in the Bible, or the connection, the full phrase Hebrew Israelite is not in the Bible, which I can prove that it is. But even if it wasn't directly connected to each other in the translations, Apostle Paul used it. He said, hey, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Return to sender. I'm proud to be a Hebrew Israelite, even though I know that those words are transliterations of the original. Ibar, right? Ibar Yah, Yashara Al. I am proud to be an Israelite, and I am not going to deny my identity, my nationality to anyone. I'm proud to be out of Judah. I'm proud. And even if I was part of any other tribe, I'm proud to be a blood descendant of the Israelites. I'm proud. I'm proud to know that our ancestors, let me show you some what your ancestors had done for some of you guys. Let me play the video here. This is going to be in the road to Savannah as I expound on this with in-depth details, right? Let me show you just how great our ancestors are. Let me show you some Hebrew on the pews.
Look on the outside edge of the pews. Look on the outside edge of the pews where you are. You see the different markings alongside the edge of the pews? They represent the different tribes that made up our congregation back then and spoke over 6 different languages among themselves. These were small tribes enslaved by larger tribes and sold to Europeans as they came along the African coast. One of the major languages they spoke back then was that of Aramaic and also too of Hebrew, which means the writings read from bottom to top. Assalamu alaikum. Which means, peace be unto you. It's not a Muslim term. It's actually the same greeting which Christ gave into the disciples when he met them in that region. Most countries in that region read from right to left. Here in America, we read from left to right. That's why the pastors in the St. Glass window up front here are going in numbers 2 through 7 from the right-hand side over to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
This is First African Baptist Church, the oldest black church in North America. The building, built by slaves. The gentleman that laid the first brick laid the last. The balcony hold pews that actually were built by slaves. They have the oldest information in this building. That information is written in cursive Hebrew writing.
Can't get away from it, family. We can't get away from it, family. We can't get away from it, family. Can't get away from it, family. Can't get away from it, family. Let's give it a 3-piece. It wasn't even worthy of me bringing out slow-mo tonight. It wasn't worthy of it. Let me give it a 3-piece. Let me toss out that garbage. Let me give them their order to go. Let's zap Judah them.
It's over! It's over! It's over! It's over! It's over! It's over! It's over!
So in the words of Moses, Masha, Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see today, these naysayers, these haters, the people just trying to hate on who we are, they will not have any more power. They will not be able to be a stumbling block to our community ever again. Why? Because the Most High will fight for us. But guess what, family? We have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word there inside the text is charash. The Hebrew word inside that text is charash. And charash means be quiet. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel.